Hey everyone, today we will be diving into 5 key Dart concepts that you absolutely need to know before jumping into Flutter development. So let's get started. First up on our list is data types. In programming, data types define the kind of information a variable holds. Think of them as the containers that hold information. For example, the integer data type container can store the age as whole number. Similarly, double data type stores the price with decimal places. Now to store a name, you can use a string as data type, and to store a true and false value, you can use boolean as the data type. We can also perform operations based on the data type. For example, we can add two integers or concatenate two strings. Now that we have covered data types, let's move on to functions. Functions are reusable blocks of code that perform specific tasks, like a set of instructions to perform some calculations. For example, let's create a function named sum which takes two integer arguments a and b and returns the sum of these numbers as the result. Now inside our main function, we can then call this function with different values to perform the addition operation. Most importantly, in our Dart programs or applications, this void main function is like the starting point of everything. It's where our program begins running, and that's why we are calling this sum function inside the main function. Next, we have control statements which allow us to control the flow of our code based on certain conditions. For instance, imagine there is an election happening in your country and you want to check if people are old enough to take part. And that's where you can use if control statements to make these checks. For example, your age is 24. So let's initialize this age variable with 24 as the value. Now here we use if statement that if age is greater than or equal to 18, we will print you are eligible to vote. Otherwise, we will print you are not eligible to vote. So basically, this code checks if the age is greater than or equal to 18 and prints different messages based on the condition. Another control statement we have is the for loop. Consider a for loop in Dart as a repetitive task, like taking steps in a dance. In the dance of programming, you set the starting point int I equal to 1. The condition for continuing, which is I is less than or equal to 5, and how you change with each step, which is I++ or taking a step forward. Now when you run this inside the main function, it prints the number from 1 to 5. So basically the for loop helps you perform a sequence of actions much like a dance routine. As we venture deeper into Dart, we cannot overlook collections. Think of them as containers that can hold different things, like a toolbox with compartments for different tools. Collections such as lists, sets, and maps are essential tools for managing and organizing data. For example, here this names variable is a collection of names, and that's why we have marked the type as list of strings. Another collection we have is the map collection, which stores a key value pair. For example, you want to store ages of different people. Therefore, you can create this ages variable, and inside the curly brackets, you can have the person's name as the key and their age as the value. Now that we have one key value pair, we can have multiple key value pairs inside our map collection. One more collection in Dart we have is the set collection, which is a collection of unique elements. That is, it doesn't contain any repeated element. So for example, here we have the colors variable with the set of strings which stores the unique color name inside the curly brackets. So all in all, we can manipulate elements within these collections through various methods like adding, removing, and iterating over them. Last but certainly not the least, we have classes and objects. Classes define blueprints for objects which represent real-world entities. For example, architectural plans for building a house. So here the architectural plan is a class and house is an object. So let's create a class named person, which is a blueprint for creating different person with the name and age. Therefore, let's create these instance variables name and age. Now we need a constructor to initialize these variables. So basically the constructor is a special method that gets called when an object is created. So in this example, it initializes the name and age properties of the person class with values provided during object creation. And lastly, we have this method greet, which prints a greeting message using the person's name. Now to create the object from this person class, inside main function, let's create a new person object using person class constructor. The values John Doe and 30 are passed as arguments to initialize the name and age properties respectively. So with this, you have created a blueprint for creating a person with the name and age. And now you can create multiple objects of this class, each representing a different person. And there you have it, 5 crucial Dart concepts for Flutter development. Are you ready to start building amazing mobile apps with Dart and Flutter? Enroll in our 12-week Flutter bootcamp today and get job ready in just weeks.